Greetings and salutations. Hope you're doing well out in Happy Land. Happy Friday the 13th, huh? That's always nice. Sometimes I forget, and whenever I've got background music or music playing in the background, the YouTubes will notify me that my video contains copyrighted content, and therefore it's not eligible for monetization. And I think, what are you talking about? I've only got 100 subs. I'm not monetized anyway. So they've got some policies that really kill your motivation before you even get going. It's like you think about making a video and you put together some interesting content, some of your ideas, and then they fucking shoot you down and they're like, you can't be talking about that. So the most recent one I took some notes on, but I'm not going to quote verbatim what they had to say. But basically, I guess I did a video and I went back through and I watched it, and it didn't seem like I said anything out of the ordinary for what a lot of people are saying these days about the Coovies, and the needlecraft. And I thought, okay, I just got to be a little more careful going forward. Basically, they put it down like this. They said, you do not have the right or authority as an individual in society to express an opinion about anything that's going on. If you're a flat earther, flat thumbs, shout out to Martin Leeds over at Flat Earth British Flat Earth. Shout out to Henry Souza, flat thumbs across the board. Then you cannot express that opinion because it goes contrary to the official narrative. So I was doing some research and thinking about it, and the odious cult of wrongthink has finally reached out on one of my vids. Well, only one that I know of so far anyway. I went and I took a closer look at it, and I was wondering if that's just one of the first dominoes to fall. They explicitly stated that there's no questioning of the official narrative about the Coovies, that there can be no criticism of the state and its handling of the invisible enemy. It's fairly open and direct, coercion and intimidation at freedom of expression. They explicitly stated, I think there were 20 key points that if you express any type of ideas in that direction, then that's just not fucking cool. Not on their watch. You must exhibit approved behavior only, and any deviance will not be tolerated. So it got me to thinking about it a little bit, and I was doing some reading elsewhere, which just synchronistically fell in line where I can't remember the book title off the top of my head, but it was recommended, it came highly recommended by Robert Anton Wilson of the Illuminati trilogy fame and the Church of Discordia, so the Discordian Society. And in this book, I forget the name of it. It was Apotho something. Anyway, I'll look it up and maybe I'll put it in the description later. Who knows? But basically, it goes on to state that the truncated meat golem acts predictably mediocre, and with vastly constrained and restricted creativity. Thus, the view or the mantra one should have shall be conform or be cast out. That's my thinking there, from Rush 2020. Isn't it fascinating that Rush was so aptly predicted it? And so I came across a couple of things synchronistically. So I'll call this video Synchronicity. Everybody has a self that loves violence, whether they try to repress it or not. Don't pretend that the several million years of human evolution has not equipped us with a certain facility to relish hunting, fighting, and killing, and the crushing of rivals and enemies, and given us a sense of glory and achievement in doing so. So this is his writing. However, a Mars self is generally unadvised by our other selves, as it can lead the whole of our organism rapidly to disaster. So I was listening to Brother Frater Sheridan the other day, and he was outright calling for people to assume the Wotan personification, to embrace their inner Wotan and take action. He goes on to say that we, or the author in the book, states, let Wotan, as we recall him, out of his cage for regular ritual exercise. Is that as far as I went? I must have gotten interrupted. That seems to be as far as I went with that right there. Friday night, Frank Monday's home alone, having a little beverage. I was inspired last night at the beer gardens. The beverages were flowing. So that's basically the size of it. Don't forget to hit the old goose button, because you may not know this, but a good cold thumb up the bum motivates me to overcome the Algabots and their coercive intimidation. Richard Dolan's recent video that he released was quite interesting. You should jump over there and check it out. He identifies a project called Google Jigsaw, where they are looking to suppress any dissent to the official narrative. And I thought about it, and I was reading through H.P. Lovecraft's, see, which one was it? It was one of his short stories. The Temple, or maybe Under the Pyramid. Maybe I wrote it down, but it's funny that he proved prescient beyond reckoning once again. I mean, so much of his writing was very prescient about the era now. So he was 100 years ahead of his time. That's going to get me demonetized right there, so I'll turn it down a little bit. He says, life is a hideous thing, and from the background behind what we know of it, there are demoniacal hints of truth which make it sometimes 1,000 times more hideous. Science, already oppressive with its shocking revelations, will perhaps be the ultimate exterminator of our human species, if separate species we be. For its reserve of unguessed horrors could never be borne by the mortal brains, if loosed upon the world. If we know what we are, we should do as Sir Arthur German did. And Arthur German soaked himself in oil and set fire to his clothing one night. Yeah, so it was Arthur German. I think it's called The Curious Case of Sir Arthur German. Maybe that's correct, maybe that's not. Last night I was back in Dreamland and pulled out some interesting imagery. I was working with a dear friend on a project, and so I jumped up and I jotted down a quick sketch. I won't go into detail, but there were 3 aspects of the dream, and we were working on a theatrical rendition of something I've had in mind for a long time. So it inspired the pursuit of a painting. I misplaced a couple of $100 here around my desk at some point, and I've been looking for it. So Friday the 13th, checking in with you all just to say hello and to confirm that I'm still here, still creating content, and I will be going forward focusing on my own teaching, which basically highlights the 3 great deceptions in humanity. I mean, there are so many deceptions being perpetrated against us, especially now, but throughout all times. And so I thought, how does a young initiate break through, a neophyte on the path? How do they break through the great deceptions that they're surrounded by in the material sphere? And I thought, well, how did I do it? And so tracing it back to its origin, getting back to one of the first great Masonic lies. And from that, I jumped forward and I came up with 3 big ones that I think are important to realize going forward. And I've been writing extensively about them and putting them into my notebooks and journals, and I just need to gather and organize that data and then present it in a concise and coherent video. With that said, happy Friday 13th to all of y'all out there in Happy Land. As above, so below, into the abodes of the future. I'll see you soon.